Greetings, fellow scribes! Welcome back to the archive. This week begins my bonus series on the individual realms and worlds of Kult Divinity Lost. This week I begin with the archetypical city, the idealized city, at least as it once was, of Metropolis, the world from which humans once ruled as the gods of the universe. And then it fell. I'll be going into that in this discussion, so just sit back, relax, and enjoy as we talk about Metropolis in Kult Divinity Lost. Once upon a time, humanity were gods, and we ruled the universe from the shining city of Metropolis. This majestic city, this primordial city, was built on 7,777 hills. And this was the gleaming ideal, the goal that every city would aspire to become like. And then humanity was cast out, stripped of our divinity, imprisoned in the lie. The city, Metropolis, began to die. A city that was once in brilliant daylight, now plunged into eternal night. And with this, decay crept in. The city never had its caretakers taking care of it properly anymore, because without humanity guiding them, they would just do the same things that they had done before. And the Demiurge and his Archons were more concerned with maintaining the lie, keeping humanity trapped in our prison, than maintaining this majestic city. And at one point, there was a great spire in the very center of the city. This spire was where the Demiurge lived. And when the Demiurge left, the spire vanished, leaving in its place a bottomless pit, the abyss. And Metropolis, this great city, goes right up to the edge of this yawning chasm. Occasionally, a house or building will fall from this edge down into the eternal nothingness. It is said that Ashtaroth went into the abyss to look for the Demiurge, to look for his light-sided twin. But that is just rumor. Immediately around the abyss are the citadels, the spires of the Archons. And anyone who goes into these spires, who gets within sight of them, feels the principle of that Archon touching them. Feels like they're being watched by that very citadel. When humans die, their souls go into the citadels, up to the very highest levels, where they're encased in these houses that, put them where they cannot interact with anything else. And their minds are forced inward to recollect more and more about themselves. And the Archons rip these memories that come up out, feeding on them, because the Archons feed off of the souls of the humans that they keep imprisoned. And then, on top of every one of the great hills in the city, inside Metropolis, there are temples. These are temples built to old, lost gods. Gods that no one remembers, even now, who they might have been. And many of these temples kept these deities trapped. With the fall of humanity, with the lack of maintenance of these temples, these ancient gods have managed to break free of their bindings, break free of their imprisonment. They wander Metropolis. Or they'll go to the other worlds. Or maybe they'll slip into Elysium, into our prison itself. But that's just the beginning of this great city. This massive city. Because there's a connection into this city from every city in the world. It might be to a small pocket, but every city in the world connects and flows into Metropolis. And different connections come from different areas of the cities. For instance, the catacombs of Rome connect to a region of Metropolis called the City of the Dead. This great Crypt Mausoleum is built on just one of the 7,777 hills of Metropolis. And it is carved into the side of this hill, into the depths of this hill. Here there are mausoleums for those few humans who died a true death, the death where they will not be reincarnated again, or where they would not go to the oubliettes of forgetfulness to feed the Archons. There are entities here that have been dead before humanity. Unknown things that are in these crypts. And again, this is where places like the catacombs of Rome connect to. Of course, there's also the Machine City. This is a region, a majority really, of Metropolis, maintained by former servants of humanity that just keep on doing the same things that they used to do in the past. And this is a city of cogwheels and arcing electricity from power spires. The mad scientist's dream. And this is in decay as well. Parts break. Gears rust. And have to be fixed. And this is the constant cycle in Metropolis. This once great shining city is decaying. It's rusting away. Buildings fall into the abyss. Buildings break down as their structures rust and corrode away. Or denizens don't maintain them properly and something causes sections to break and fall and crumble. And that is Metropolis. That is where you player characters, you protagonists in these stories, will end up from time to time. And as the players deal with these, they find themselves dealing with the denizens, in many cases, former servants of humanity, who all have various ideas on what they think of humanity today. So let's go take a moment and talk about some of the more notable denizens. As I mentioned, a number of the populace of Metropolis are former slaves of humanity. These are entities that we shaped and molded to fulfill specific purposes. One of these are the Asghouls. These are humanoid-looking beings. They look like they're covered in a glass armor. This armor is actually another creature in a symbiotic relationship with them. Actually, more of a parasitic relationship with them. The Asghouls look like they're covered in a glass armor. But when you look at the armor, you see the organs of these entities inside. You see how the armor holds them together, more or less. And if they ever try to remove this armor, they die in excruciating torment. But they were created for a purpose. They were the guards, more or less, of the city. And they still perform that function. And in fact, they are still the slaves of humanity. However, humans have for the most part forgotten how to make them obey. Because the secret is, we have to use the name of the given Asghoul to make it do our bidding. And as we are no longer divine entities, as our divinity has been lost and suppressed, we do not have the ways to find their names. Now, on the other extreme are the Techrons. These are the things that maintain the machines in the Machine City. And while they go about their day trying to do all the maintenance on the city, unlike the Asghouls, they will follow any orders given to them by someone who has the command of authority, namely whoever tells them what to do. And from that, they're the most easily manipulated and swayed of the various denizens, for they will follow orders given to them unquestioningly. The third of the notable denizens are the Gynakids. And these are a specific type of slave that humanity created way back in the ancient past. You see, the Gynakids were kind of pleasure slaves for us. They have inherited inherent desire to mate, play, and satisfy humanity, or humans. But to control them, we did something kind of iffy back in the day. We made it so that they could not have children without a spark from a human soul. And because of this, when we were enslaved by the demiurge, they started to die out. But they found a way to live on, to continue to have children, sort of. And what this way is after two of them mate, one of them comes to Earth, comes to Elysium, finds a human, transfers the embryo into the human. The human gives birth, and then the gynecid comes within a short period of time and takes this child back. Because this child will very quickly grow into, within a month's time, a full-grown gynecid. Even though it looks like a normal human child at first. As I mentioned in the past, Kult is a very dark game. A very dark world. And this is one of the highlights of that, I believe. Of course, there are other groups within Metropolis. The various choirs of angels that serve the Archons. Some of which have lost their way with their Archon being dead. But they're still out there. And then there are those humans who have found their way into Metropolis through various means and have stayed there. And they will scavenge and scrounge off the stuff that they find in Metropolis. Or they'll go feral and track down and kill and eat other humans for survival. And this is the dangers that one will find when you go into Metropolis. In addition to various lost gods roaming the cities. In addition to the Guardian of the Dead, a entity that stands over the city of the dead as a protector of the region. And with that, I know that there's more I can go into on Metropolis, but this is just meant to be a quick overview, so people will, if they decide to get the books or go doing more research, have a sort of idea of what to see, what to look at. So with that, I'm going to end this discussion. If you like this video, please click like and subscribe down below. My regularly scheduled video will be up later this week. Next week, I will be discussing the opposite of Metropolis. The realm of the Death Angels, Inferno. So until then, have fun and keep gaming.